Thank you for coming out and being here at Parsons Field's 2025 Annual Town Meeting. If you could please make sure your cell phones are off, that would be very much appreciated. We'll start off by reading the warrant. To Pamela Pride, a resident of the town of Parsonsfield in the county of York, state of Maine, greetings. In the name of the state of Maine, you are hereby required to warn and notify the inhabitants of the town of Parsonsfield in said county and state, qualified to vote by law in town affairs, to meet at the town office at 634 North Road in Parsonsfield on Friday, the 5th day of September, AD 2025, at 2 p.m. to act upon Articles 1 and 2. The polling hours are 2 p.m. until 8 p.m. for Article 2, and to notify and warn said inhabitants at the town office, 634 North Road in Parsonsfield on Saturday, the 6th day of September, AD 2025, at 9 a.m. to act on Articles 3 through 46 set out as follows. Article 1, to choose a moderator to preside at said meeting. Moderate election did take place yesterday. Gloria Hermans was elected moderator for the election part of town meeting. She then appointed Norman Blake as deputy moderator. Norman will moderate this part of the meeting, so I will pass it on to Mr. Blake.
Thank you, Danielle. Good to be back in Parsonsfield. For those who don't know, my name is Norman Blake. I am the migrant moderator come up from West Baldwin. We will run this meeting as is traditionally done according to the rules and procedures of the Maine Moderator's Guide. It's a compilation of the ways of running town meetings for a couple centuries. Works out pretty well. Traditionally, come on in. We'll find a seat for you. Traditionally in Parsonsfield, as in a number of other towns in the area, we start our meeting with a pledge of allegiance to the flag. If you can please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks very much. Before we get down to brass tacks and start fighting, we're not going to fight here. Before we get down to brass tacks, Jen has something to say for us.
Well, for those who don't know me, I'm on the select board, obviously, Jen Lewis. And it is my pleasure, this year we're awarding the Spirit of America Award for the 21 Club. They used to be the 21 Club of Keyser Falls, I understand, but now they just go by the 21 Club. And they've been around for over 100 years. They originally started in 1921, so I originally thought that the 21 Club meant you had to be 21 and maybe there was a lot of drinking going on, but no, that's not true. So they've been around for over 100 years. They're a group of volunteer women, and I think you probably have over 20 in your club now. One of the biggest things they've done for our community is the Sacopee Valley Health Center. I think the land that the health center is on was donated, and they were the instigators behind getting the health center going. They've done a lot. They do an annual scholarship, books for babies they give to new moms in Parsonsfield and Porter. They sponsor girls to go to Girls State. They do the Riverside Food Pantry. And they do just an awful lot. So in that light, we award the 21 Club the Spirit of America Award. And I know we have members here. Rather than having you guys, here's one of our original members right here. Wonderful. You know what, I'll come.
see, there's a couple of folks just came in, there's a chair there and there, kind of in the middle.
We can pull more out if you want them.
We may need it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to Article 2 to, right. Article 2 to elect by secret ballot the following town officers. You did that yesterday, and for those who didn't see the results posted out in the lobby, the results are as follows. For a select board assessor and overseer of the poor for a 3-year term, Sabin Beckwith with 191 votes, prevailed over David Bauer with 132 votes. Mr. Beckwith will be your selectman starting at the end of this meeting. For town clerk, treasurer, and tax collector, a 3-year term, Danielle managed to get 301 votes, vanquishing all challengers. For a road commissioner for a 3-year term, Maya Larry with 204 votes over William Toby. Maya is your road commissioner. MSAD director for a 3-year term is Amelia Capone at 29 votes. There were multiple write-ins. People usually do this to pick on their friends. For planning board member for a 5-year term, there were Desiree Lyle with 13 votes, a few write-ins here and there. Desiree is your new planning board member. Budget committee member, there were 3 openings. Denise Crooker with 19 votes, Thomas Winter with 3 votes, and Deborah Marble with 4 votes. In as much as there were 3 openings, all of those folks are now on the budget committee. For director of the Piper Free High Fund for a 2-year term, Sharon Hasty had 13 votes, a few write-ins. Sharon is your director. And for director of the Piper Free High Fund for a 3-year term, Pamela Pride has 140 votes and multiple write-ins, and she will have the 3-year term. So let's get down to spending money. We'll move on to Article 3 to see if the town will vote to combine its various non-dedicated sources of income into a general revenue account from which it will pay its expenses as authorized by this town meeting. Do we hear a motion?
Move.
And a second?
Second.
All right. Moved and seconded. Questions, comments on Article 3? Hearing none. All those in favor of Article 3 as presented, please raise your hands. None as opposed. Article 3 is accepted. Article 4, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to use up to 50% of the unappropriated surplus balance to reduce the 2025 tax commitment.
Second.
Moved and seconded. And if you want to move and you want a second, you don't have to wait for me to ask you. It'll move things right along. Questions, comments on Article 4? Yes, sir.
So how much is 50% of this unappropriated surplus balance? And where did it come from?
David?
These are monies that have not been spent, either that were budgeted last year or prior years that have carried forward. You won't know the actual surplus amount until the auditors look at it. It's typically been between $300,000 and $400,000.
Okay.
I think if you look ahead to Article 7, you'll see where some of that gets plowed back in. Further questions, comments on Article 4? Hearing none, all those in favor? Them is opposed? Article 4 is accepted. Article 5, see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to borrow from the town reserve accounts in anticipation of taxes. Said amount not to exceed 75% of the town funds and be repaid with the same interest as the bank would pay. Motion?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions, comments? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just got a question, and, I mean, I'm new to all this.
That's okay.
My name is Michael Seeley. When I first read this, it just took me off guard, the town borrowing from the town. I understand it's reserve amount, and what's the reason where the town has to borrow from our reserve account? Was it a budget failure, or what was it?
I can tell you that this is a standard boilerplate type of article that appears on town meeting warrants all over, but David can explain it a little better.
Yeah, this is in anticipation of taxes. So we lay out a budget. We know that when we commit taxes, they will cover the budget amount. But prior to getting tax input, we may run short on money. So this just gives us the ability to borrow, if you will, and it's just an administrative thing.
Aren't you looking into the future?
No, because our fiscal year started on July 1 of this year.
Right.
So
Okay.
we're going to determine how much money we're allocating today. In the next couple of weeks, the board will determine what taxes are going to be. And before the taxes start coming in, frankly, I don't believe we've ever had to do that.
Right?
It's just a guarantee that we're not going to run out of money
But
in
it's
the short
costing the
term.
town 7%, right? You saying?
If we use it.
If we use
If you
it.
use it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, typically at town meeting, as we get ahead into the articles, you'll see that certain amounts of funds are raised and allocated into certain little boxes. And to take money out of some of those boxes would possibly require a special town meeting. That's kind of inconvenient. So basically, an article such as this gives the selectmen the ability to keep the town running. Again, I don't know. I moderated a number of towns. I'm not aware that any town has done this in recent history, but we're covering our backsides.
It's not the ability there if you.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, further questions on Article 5? Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 5 as presented? Them is opposed? Article 5 is accepted. Article 6, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to spend an amount not to exceed 3/12 of the budgeted amount of the 2025 annual budget during the period from July 1, 2026, that's next summer, to the annual town meeting in year 2026. We have a motion.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 6 as presented? Those opposed? Article 6 is accepted. Article 7, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to close all unexpended appropriations and overdrafts into the unappropriated surplus account.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Question, comment? Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 7 as presented? Those opposed? 7 is accepted. Page here. Article 8, to see if the town will vote to expend the following dedicated funds in accordance with state and federal law. And they are plumbing and building fees, animal control, local road assistance, FEMA grants, MEMA reimbursements, that's the Maine Emergency Management Authority, American Rescue Plan, We have a motion on Article 8.
So moved.
Second. I think I heard somebody second it. Questions, comments on Article 8? Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 8 as presented? Those opposed? Article 8 is accepted. Article 9, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $268,482 for compensation of town officers and employees for the ensuing year. And the estimated compensation amounts are listed below. You can read it better than I can. Is there a motion on Article 9?
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Questions, comments? Yes, sir.
Hi, can we discuss a particular line, or do we have to discuss the whole number?
We can discuss most anything we want to. What particular line would you like to talk about?
All right, so I believe that the select board members should take a haircut in the amount of as a percentage, as the amount that they cost us because they butchered the trash removal budget. Because they didn't start soon enough, they made it a last minute effort, they're up against a deadline. We had something in place that would have been, significantly better for the town from a money standpoint. And then that blew up, and then rather than at least give themselves a shot to see if they could save us some money, they went with the original expense. They've done that on a couple of other things, and I think there should be a consequence to that. So I'm not sure about the math, but I think the trash hauling went up like, probably 10 or 15%. It might be more, it might be a little less, but I think they should take a reduction in their stipend salary in that amount to pay for what they cost the rest of us.
Okay, this is a closed article in as much as it votes to raise and appropriate a certain sum. That's the 268,000 plus a little bit. With a closed article, you have the option to reduce it. You can't increase it, but you can reduce it. If you really want to, you could offer an amendment to reduce that particular line item by a certain percentage if you're sure of your figures and.
Stuff. But I would still like to offer an amendment to reduce the select board members, again, salary stipend, let's say by 10%.
Okay, so your amendment is to reduce the select board members' pay across the board by 10%. Let me see, that'd be $3,222.
Yes.
Yeah. No, $226. Is that your motion to amend?
That is my motion to amend.
Is there a second to that? Not hearing a sec.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to amend Article 19 to reduce it by reduce the select board members' amount by $3,226, which would take that amount away from the 268,000 some odd. I'm not going to do the math right now. So we have an amendment on the floor. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Yes, sir.
I heard about this, trash budget and what happened there. I would like to hear from the selectmen to get more clarification. I agree with this gentleman that it was a late response. and I've heard other things, don't know what's true. I heard something about waste management, and I think we should give the selectmen time to discuss this with us, so we can get a proper and clear picture of it.
Who on the select board would like to respond to that?
Yeah, so the trash contract went out to bid. We received 2 bids. One of the bids that we received was from Casella Waste Management. Their bid was based off of information that was in the previous 2 years' town report that showed our annual tonnage for trash and recycling was 80 tons when it was more closer to 800 tons. And so when we obviously awarded them the contract at the time, they were doing their due diligence and following the current trash contractors around. And they obviously determined that the amounts weren't lining up with what they had placed their bid on. And so at that point, they reached out and said, that they wouldn't be able to perform the contract at that price. And so at that point, they pulled their bid. And so we only had one bid to move forward with, which was for Mellon's contract.
So I'm sorry to clarify, you're saying we incorrectly reported our waste for 2 years in a row?
Well, it's just the amount that was in the town report. So there's a
We
section,
reported it 2 years in a row in our town report.
correct, it was reported as 80 for the year.
It was reported as monthly instead of annual.
Was that a typo, or was that was that another zero forgotten to be put in there, or?
No, I believe that was the amount for the month prior and not the year prior. So obviously trash, there's more trash in the summer and so when that report is done, it's covering either the May or the June outputs from the drop-offs.
Further questions and comments? Harvey?
Yes, I'm thinking,
Speak right up, Harvey.
I'm trying to hear and speak up at the same
Gotcha.
time. The select board members, I think that's what his article is trying to reduce, the cost of their pay. Is that correct?
That is the purpose of the amendment, yes.
As a past selectman, I'd like to say there, in this day and age, there's so much extra time put on the selectmen that it's no longer what it used to be. And they're worth every penny they get. I will tell you that right now, because you don't see it. You don't see what they do after all. Writing grants, coming in and checking on construction. Anything that happens in this town, they come in and they do it. And you just can't reduce that to the point where nobody wants to do it anymore.
Way in the back.
Yeah, I support what Harvey said. Many times I come in here for something or other in the middle of the day, in the middle of the week, select board members do work. I think it's punitive to try to reduce their salary because they're doing something that's not going to work.
Jen?
I can tell you right now, we don't do it for the money. And if the town wants to go with the amendment, we would do what the town wanted us to do. So I'm just saying,
Further questions and comments on the amendment to reduce Article 9 by about $3,226 to the financial detriment of the select board. Are there further questions and comments on the amendment? Hearing none. All those in favor of the amendment to reduce Article 9 by $3,226. All those in favor of the amendment to reduce, please raise your hands. Those opposed? The amendment fails. We'll go back to Article 9 in its totality. Further questions and comments on Article 9? Yes, sir, way in the back.
This is important information. This is a list of all the town offices and compensation. I don't see anything for the road commissioner, nor do I see anything for the road commissioner anywhere else in the report. That's what is compensation.
David,
Yeah, the road commissioner does not get paid. The road crew, which the road commissioner will work on sometimes, gets paid. They get paid out of the road budget, so it's not a budget item here.
yes,
On that line, that gentleman, is it true that the road commissioner owns the company that's doing the road work for the town?
Yes.
Okay, isn't that a conflict of interest?
I think so.
I don't think so.
No.
I think you'll find that.
I'm just
yeah,
saying,
no.
it's like, to me,
No.
it is.
Okay,
Because you have a person in office that is billing the town. So to me, he could do whatever he wanted and give us a bill for whatever. That's why I did not vote for him. I just think it's a conflict interest.
David,
yeah, I understand your point. The thing is that if other companies were hired to do the work, then we would need a compensated road commissioner. We would need an administrator, which we do not have, okay? That would be an extra expense.
So the road work does not get put out to bid.
The paving does, bigger jobs, yes.
Plowing.
Yeah, because I know there was an issue with them dumping in wetlands off of Middle Road. I went by when the state was there looking at it, and we got to make sure stuff like that does not happen again. I'm sure you've heard about that.
way in the back.
Is there any way to know exactly where the road commissioner's money is exactly being spent? Is there a breakdown somewhere of that money? Broken down in here. And where that money exactly is going? Is it all going within the same?
Yeah,
I mean, the invoices we get describe what road work has been done, tons of gravel, sand, the roads that are being ditched or graded, or the equipment that is being used, and those all get billed. So we get those invoices, we know exactly where the money is going. Is that what you mean? No.
Basically, those of us that vote and have a say in who our road commissioner is, shouldn't those numbers be justified to us as well? I see that you get them, but where do we get to see all those numbers?
Yeah.
David,
On the handout that's over on the table, the fourth page, yeah, the back of the second page, if you will, general highway expenses breaks it down.
I just want to point out on page 4 of the inspection, Article 21, just to break down the general highway expenses and the zero there daily.
Yeah, Article 21, it shows on the left.
See, what I don't understand is, I'm sorry. If I interrupted,
no, I'm,
go ahead.
go ahead and we've got a couple more people. What I occasionally do is point to people quietly and say, okay, so they don't have to have their hand in the air. Being old and arthritic, I think about things like that. Continue.
So the guy who makes sure the road work is done right is basically inspecting himself. Am I right or wrong?
Or inspecting the work that his crew is doing. I guess you could say that.
I'll shut up.
Okay, I got a couple people ahead of you. Yes, sir, in the back.
If I'm not mistaken, I could speak for myself, but the sense of the meeting may be driven by the fact that the road work that's been done recently is atrocious. And
Amen.
they've cut the banks back on Middle Road and apparently on other roads too, right up to the stone walls. The stone walls are about to will toggle into the ditch. They've cut it back right to the base of trees. All those trees are eventually going to fall down. They've widened the roads to the point where people have picked up their speed quite a bit. And I don't think this is consistent with what we want our town to look like or with the comprehensive plan. So, I mean, I don't want to snipe at anybody, at Maya. I think Maya is I don't know what kind of job he does, but it looks like what people are aiming at is a little bit more oversight on how the roads are handled.
Way in the back corner, you had your hand, okay, yes, down in front, the blue blouse?
Asking again about the line items for the budget, back to what he was referencing, and again, why I question whether or not this can be truly done without bias. North section and south section for winter road maintenance, they went to their budget, exactly. New Hampshire DOT plowing, they were budgeted $15,000. They gave back a $12,858.43 number. They did not use every last drop that they had, and I'm sure they can account better for how they spent the money rather than saying, oh yeah, we spent all of it. So back to what they were asking before, is there ever any receipts for the expenses that were being told?
Yes.
Again, not invoices, receipts for how the money was being spent.
Yeah, we get the receipts.
Would those be public information if somebody,
Wanted to come in and take a look at them?
somebody wanted to go through, all the way
Yeah.
through?
Anytime.
All the bills that are paid every week, so. anytime.
Let Maya speak. To let Maya speak.
So the plowing north and south is a contract for a contractor, so they get, they have to buy the trucks. The main New Hampshire DOT is a state thing,
I noticed.
so, yes.
Right, and that, when didn't we budget for 2 years?
So they have to buy their trucks every year?
The contractors?
Yeah.
No, I mean, they could last up to,
It's a contract, it's already agreed, it's an agreed upon.
Yeah, that's the difference there is, so the plowing is a contracted amount. It could not snow the entire winter and they would get that amount.
Okay.
So that's why those items show as zero. New Hampshire DOT, that's for a section, I believe they budgeted for 2 years in that, and then they billed us for 1. And that's why that one's less.
Yes, sir, the gray t-shirt.
Just, we're on Article 9, and we have other articles that address what we're talking about, the road commissioner budget, and those types of things. I'm just wondering why we're, the conversation is what it is, because we're addressing Article 9.
Your point is well taken. As a moderator, my thought is town meeting is generally once a year. This is the best and only time that you all have to ask the hard questions and get
I'm
answers.
not disagreeing with that. I'm just wondering why these questions aren't in line with the articles.
Right.
Address them.
It's the judgment of the moderator. I generally let folks kind of wider path and ask more questions. We'll get to that again, probably, maybe, when we get down to the appropriate article, but again, I could be a stickler on it, and people would be unhappy because, again, they got one chance a year to really put these folks' feet to the fire.
I'm not saying it can't be addressed, it's just that it's not part of this article.
It's the judgment of the moderator. Gentleman behind with the,
I would just second what the gentleman said, because it seems like Article 21 is going to be a good debate with a lot of good information that we should get out when we get to Article 21. And I'm not, I think it's great that we've started that conversation, but I agree that if we can do the vote on Article 9 and then move on, we get to Article 21, talk about the road budget. I agree.
okay, in that vein, are we ready to vote on Article 9 as presented? Yes.
My name is Jeff Ryder from Parsonsfield. I'm a U.S. citizen, and
I knew that.
I'd like to talk about something that is on Article 9. Is CEO, if we don't have him, it's 46,000, you guys can read, and deputy CEO, we don't have a deputy CEO or a CEO, so why are those numbers that high right now if we don't have anybody?
Because if we hire them tomorrow, we'll need to pay them.
We need to pay them that amount?
Those are the budgeted amounts, yes.
Those are the budget amounts.
Well, can we lower it? Since we don't,
It'd be dependent on the candidate, correct?
yeah, depending on what,
Budget for that amount.
depending on what other towns pay and the detailed reports that other towns give.
Yep.
And since we're talking about CEO, do you know how many houses were built this year? It just says 18 building permits. That's it.
New dwellings, I can tell you 24, there was 21 new buildings.
21
Permits in that, but new dwellings,
this year?
this year, I'm not sure yet.
How many were for the last, let's go back 5 years, because I asked the select board to do this. How many in the last 5 years? Since we're talking about CEO.
Right.
Last 5 years, how many houses were built?
Difficult.
Come on, people.
It's a difficult number.
Okay.
We'll move on.
I'll tell you, I wish the town of Parsonsfield a whole lot better luck in locating the CEO than we've had in Baldwin. We've got an ad in the Shopper's Guide that's about as permanent as the calls ad, and we're not having much luck. I hope you can find somebody that'll serve you well. Article 9, are we ready to vote? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of Article 9 as presented, raise your hands. Those opposed? Article 9 is accepted as presented. Article 10, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the following sums to cover general governmental expenses. And the total of the Article 10 is $315,607. Do we have a motion?
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Questions, comments on matters in Article 10? Yes, sir.
What is included in professional services?
Select board, what's professional services?
Primarily legal fees. There's also some assessing in there. I have to tell you, quite frankly, this year, our legal fees are going to be sky high because of the planning board and appeals board support that's been needed. So I don't know if that's going to cover it.
That's my point. If we're trying to plan our expenses, so, oh my gosh, can't be in a situation where we can't pay a bill. $35,000 for legal services with the place that the select board and the planning board have put us in legally over this cannabis bylaw or ordinance, whatever we call it. That's just short-sighted. You guys are gonna come back to us at some point going, hey, you said you'd give us this much money, but we need 2, 3, 4 times as much because we have to be in court every third week over this. So, again, I just think that, I know I can't raise the amount of money, but I think when you put it out there, that's an unrealistic number.
Jen?
We have $20,000 from the Office of Cannabis Policy to cover our legal expenses and about 3 years to get that money back. And I can tell you that we have not spent anywhere near that yet. So you can add 20,000 to that.
Right, because it's just, the legal part's just starting.
Be right about that.
Further questions, comments on Article 10? Yes, sir.
Don't we get some help from the state on the cannabis?
I just mentioned that.
That's what I just mentioned, yeah.
Oh, that's what you said.
You mentioned Office of Cannabis Policy monies. What'd you say, 20,000?
Yeah.
Yeah. Way in the back.
Isn't the licenses and permits, don't you charge the person asking for the permit, the legal fees in that lump sum? No, because I have a receipt that shows something a little different, so maybe I'll come down and show you and ask about that. As far as I know, I was charged legal fees for questions that the selectmen didn't know the answer to. And I was charged $780 on legal fees, when in fact that got added to my permit that was.
Yeah.
David?
Yeah, that was a situation where I believe you were applying for a site plan review approval, and the site plan review rules stipulate that if any legal advice is required, that the applicant will pay for it.
So therefore, the person or the people that are on that board should have probably been better educated for it and not charge the person looking to grow their business?
Well, I can't address that problem. I don't think that's right, but
Can we stay on topic?
This,
It's on topic.
did you wish to make a comment?
Yeah, can we move forward and vote?
We can.
Great.
I, not having heard a specific motion, I will ask, are there any final questions, or comments before we vote on Article 10? Jeffrey, briefly, there's a way to do that.
Right. I think professional services sometimes required because some of our boards haven't read all the regulations properly or interpreted them differently than the courts. So I think that's why we use some of the money up, because the land use books and all that stuff and the zoning books aren't quite read to the ability they should be read to.
Very briefly, ready to vote on Article 10? All those in favor of Article 10 as presented? Those opposed? Article 10 is accepted. Now, point of information to the gentleman. In order to terminate discussion, you have to move the question. And you say, I move the question. At that point, somebody seconds the motion. At that point, and it's non-debatable, we have a vote by show of hands to terminate debate and get right to the vote on the basic article. The reason it requires a procedure is that it limits people's ability to ask further questions, make further statements and discussion. It's a serious thing. But again, if a majority of the registered voters are in favor of that, that's how it goes. So that's why I couldn't accede to your well-made suggestion, but now you know how to do it, and you'll be ready to go. Let's move to Article 11, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $5,000 placed in the Sidewalk Capital Reserve Fund.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Questions, comments about sidewalks? Yes, sir.
How much money is in the reserve fund and how long has the reserve fund existed?
$21,247.01. And I do not know the answer to the second part of your question.
Further questions, comments on Article 11? Danielle?
Comment, this budget report that was available on there, every time there is a reserve article, the balance will be on the side here, so. you can put that back.
Yeah.
So we're banking all this money. Do we have any intentions of ever spending it? Given the conditions of the sidewalk?
Yeah, we've been in contact with Maine DOT about the sidewalk in Keizer Falls. And so we're trying to get with them to understand what assistance they have. There's grant monies that are available to help supplement the monies that we already have in there, to not spend our money and spend their money.
Jeff?
Since we're talking about sidewalks, have you thought about increasing crosswalks in Parsons Field? Maybe like near Archie's and Dollar General and the weed sewer, possibly.
Good point.
Something that could be plowed into the discussions with the state, probably.
Yeah, we hire a private company to do them.
Okay.
Yep, they have to meet state regulations,
Yeah.
but we hire a private company. We've got a really good deal on the one that was put in front of the Stanley Building, so I can get in touch with them as well.
Ready to vote on Article 11? All those in favor of Article 11 as presented? Those opposed? Article 11 is accepted. Article 12, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the following sums to cover protection expenses. The total is $167,094. And I'd be ready to hear somebody move the article.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Questions, comments? Yes, sir.
How many fire hydrants?
Here we go.
I believe it's 23,
No, I think it's 21.
21, okay, sorry.
And those are real fire hydrants that you.
They're pressurized fire hydrants. We also have some dry hydrants that the fire department has put in, separate from this, that are pumped out of either a cistern or a pond.
So it seems to me that it's an exorbitant amount of money to maintain 21 pieces of equipment,
Yep,
or even 22.
yep.
It's just,
I think there won't be anybody that disagrees with you. The problem is that the PUC, Maine PUC sets these rates. And so,
Public Utilities.
Public Utilities Commission,
Discussed it.
yeah, they're the ones that,
we don't send them a check, what are they gonna do? They're gonna come take our fire?
we don't send them a check, we send the water company a check.
Okay, so if we don't send the water company a check, what are they gonna do?
Good question. I don't know, sir.
Jen, did you have anything?
I was just going to say, it's a Public Utilities Commission setting. I've been in touch with Porter about this. It is, we all agree, it's an outrageous price, and we don't seem to have a lot of leeway unless we get some legislation changed. And we've also been in contact with our senator to see what we can do. It's a slow process.
Jeff?
I've suggested this every year, that we should band together all the towns that are getting charged this exorbitant amount to have those select board members go to Augusta and fight for the citizens of this town and other towns as well.
Make a move to move on.
You move the question? Is there a second?
Second.
We moved and seconded to move the question. That means we terminate debate and questions and all that and go ahead with a vote. We're not actually voting on Article 12. All those in favor of moving the question, raise your hand. Those opposed? Okay, we'll go straight to the vote. Article 12, $167,094 for protection of expenses. Those in favor? Those opposed? The article is accepted. Article 13, to see if the town will vote to raise or appropriate the sum of $138,838 for the maintenance and operations costs of Shakopee Rescue to be paid in 12 equal installments. First to be paid on October 1, 2025. Hear a motion? I didn't hear a motion. I said motion. Okay, we kind of got to be a stickler about this because our good friends at TV2 are recording this, and if we make a mistake, we might be in trouble. Okay, questions, comments on Article 13? Way in the back, sir.
What's the justification for almost,
Speak right up, please.
what's the justification for an almost 40% increase?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good morning, I'm Mark Bolton, current president of the board of directors for Celebration. I'm not a citizen of the town of Parsonsville, but I would seek permission from the group collectively to address.
Let me address that. People who are not registered voters in the town of Parsonsfield ordinarily are not allowed to speak, but the gentleman has valuable information in response to an important question. If I can have unanimous consent with no objection, we'd like to let the gentleman speak. Do we have unanimous consent?
Yes.
No objection. Yes, sir, go ahead. Now we're legal.
Thank you, folks. So a great question. We've been working on our budget all year long. We've been working off last year's budget, trying to keep our numbers as tight as we can. There were three things in this year's costs that we were unable to control. Those three things being working with the compensation. The other thing that played the biggest factor was also our insurance. Our own personal liability insurance costs went up, I think about 30%. And the third article that went up was increased manpower payroll, because we increased the amount of coverage for our service. And we also brought our labor rates up to a comparable level with the other departments around us. So those were the three items that generated about a 30% increase on that. Thank you for your question. It's very, yes, thank you.
Further questions, comments on Article 13? Yes.
Yeah, I have a comment. I'm Denise Crooker, and I'm on the budget committee, and they all came and spoke to us about having to raise things up, and we totally agreed with them. I mean, and I think pretty soon we're gonna need a new ambulance, if I'm not mistaken. If people want to be saved by these kind people, every dollar they want, they justify for in our reports. So I want to praise all of them, because we were there, we know. And if you ever had the ambulance come and you're on the other end, and I have, they're happy to see you. So I think whatever they need, they're not pocketing money. So I just wanted to give them a attaboy.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Does that mean it's zero cost to, that if the ambulance comes to my house today, I won't receive a bill?
Yes, please respond to that.
I'm Beverly Russell, the treasurer of the board, and I do not live in the town, so I'll need permission to speak.
With, if I have unanimous consent?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What will happen is you get a billing company, and unless you're on Medicaid, if there is a balance from your insurance, you will receive a bill. Or if there's an issue with your insurance, say the insurance company doesn't accept the claim, you will receive a bill. You can call the billing company and you can deal with them, like maybe they copied the number down wrong, give them the insurance information, and then they'll file it again. Or you can, if you don't have insurance, you will receive a bill. And we have a system in place, if you can't pay it, that you can pay monthly. And you can set up with the billing company how to pay.
So why are we paying taxes in out of our pocket?
Because that's what it costs for we are an NGO. We are a nonprofit NGO. So if you were to bring in, the towns do not have an ambulance service attached to their fire departments. Basically, you have volunteer fire department. So you have to hire an ambulance service to provide ambulance service.
Isn't that what they do with taxes?
You can hire us, an NGO, or you can go out and hire a corporation that makes a profit. We are much less expensive than a corporation, okay? But we still have to compete with the corporation. So it's not, oh, we just pay this and that's it. No, you're paying, we get about $500,000 in insurance, and you're making up the difference as to what it costs to run this thing, because it costs over $1 million a year to run this thing. And it keeps, we try to save as much money as we can where we can, but there are certain things that you just cannot cut because we don't have the ability to control what it is. We have to go with the market. Because we're competing with the hospitals, we're competing with professional groups, we're competing with everybody else. And it's not like you can just pick someone up off the street and throw them in an ambulance. They have to be licensed, they have to be.
Yeah, I'm not asking about why you're at cost, I'm asking why you're billing so many people.
Because that's what it takes. Yeah, go ahead.
To be very specific to your question, if you require our service as an ambulance service, we are compelled to respond to your medical needs as a 911. If you choose not to pay, that is totally up to you. We do not have debt collectors that will come to service you with a debt collection. It is by your choice not to pay the bill. If you choose not to pay the bill, that cost will be absorbed by the service, which will increase our cost overall, and then in turn will be presented to the selectmen the following year as an increased cost to the town. So to answer your question very specifically, if you choose not to pay, that cost will be passed on indirectly to about every other member in the community. Does that answer your question?
So is the taxes from the town helping reduce the cost of the individual? Is that what you're saying?
The money that we request from the town helps to offset the money that we do not receive from our billing company. If every accident and every incident was to pay 100% of the money that we would charge, then we would not be standing here today asking for services from any town. It is simply the difference that we need to operate.
Yeah, it just wasn't clear. I would be surprised if I saw this and paid taxes and then I got into.
So absolutely, it's a great question. And we also have set up a program in the last 8 years where you can call in directly to the service and request some sort of variance or an adjustment on it. And we do have a criteria established for that. So no one is denied.
Way in the back, yes, sir.
I actually on the board of directors of these guys represented Parsons Field and Soccer, and about once a month we get together and I see them, or we all struggle to try to make ends meet. Okay, when you look at that, it looks like a lot of money. You're looking at it being double dipping, I don't see it that way, because that money is already coming out of your taxes, you're not paying it twice. The other thing I think you should remember is what Mark briefly said. If Soccer is not supported, it services 4 towns. They all pay the same amount. Is that correct?
Yes.
And if it's not supported, we're going to get a private ambulance service in here. The proposal's been made one time or another. They're going to cut coverage by about half, and they're going to charge how much more? Probably double the amount. So I'm just saying, from my perspective, being involved with them, having worked there, and having been on the board of directors, I think you get plenty.
Somebody had a hand up over here. Yes, sir.
So what you were saying, as far as, say we have a elderly in our town, they can barely buy their groceries. Do you have a program where they will not get billed? I mean, because that'd be wrong, you know, for.
So to answer your question specifically, all of our billing requests are set up through a billing company. They do not.
I'm not asking that, sir. I'm asking you, your company have a system for 85 and 90-year-olds that are on fixed income that will pay the bill for them?
No, sir.
You should have that.
Okay, we'd be happy to consider that if you want to bring that to any one of our monthly meetings. That would be great. Except that at this point, we do not personally compensate anyone at any level.
Right, because I think big problem is the elderly get forgotten. They should not have to pay
The state should do that.
Way in the back corner, yes.
And I make a motion to move the question.
Thank you.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to move the question. We're not voting on the question, we're voting on limiting debate. Those in favor of moving the question? Those opposed? We'll go directly to the vote. Article 13, $138,838 for Soccer Rescue. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is accepted. Article 14, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $10,000 to be placed in the Soccer Rescue Capital Reserve Fund. Do we have a motion?
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Questions, comments? Hearing none. All those in favor of Article 14 as presented? Those opposed? Article accepted. Article 15, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $15,000 to be placed in the Fire Truck Reserve Fund. Moved and seconded. Questions, comments? Jeff?
I'm on the budget committee as well, and I think that we should be putting more money into the fire truck reserve account, because if we end up taking a loan to buy that fire truck, we're going to be paying high interest, and if we just start squirreling away more money for the reserve account, it will reduce the cost of taking a loan out to buy the fire truck. We're going to have to buy it anyways, so we might as well just put a lot of money off to the side for it.
Inasmuch as this is a closed article, we can't do that today, but.
Right. It's a closed article, and my suggestion would, in the future.
In the future.
Everybody knows that we should be putting more money off to the side, so we don't have to take out a loan to buy the fire truck. We're going to have to buy it sooner or later.
Further questions, comments on Article 15? Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 15 as presented? Those opposed? Article is accepted. Article 16, see if the town will vote to raise or appropriate the sum of $23,000 for professional valuation of real estate changes and maintenance of property records for the town for tax assessment purposes. Do we have a motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 16 as presented? Those opposed? Article 16 is accepted. Article 17, see if town will vote to raise appropriate the sum of $18,800 to be placed in the revaluation reserve account.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Questions, comments? Yes, sir.
What's the relationship between these two articles?
The first one was for the ongoing annual assessment. The second one is for a revaluation of the entire town.
That's the 10-year thing, right?
Right. And you're supposed to do it every 10 years. We are outside of that.
Okay, that's all right.
Further questions, comments on Article 17? Yes, ma'am.
My age is first meeting of attendance.
That's okay. Welcome to town meeting.
My name is Joanna Jenkins. My husband had to work today, and I know he had concerns, and maybe this is the one we've been looking for, about the taxes, property taxes being raised because of whatever, I'm assuming it's something on this budget. How is that? Is that what we're looking at here? Does that, with the assessments, potentially raising value on properties, and then that's going to reflect in our property taxes? That's correct.
David?
How does that work?
The bottom line is, whatever we vote on today is how much money the town votes to spend. Now, if we have a townwide revaluation, say everybody's at this level, some valuations are going to go up, some will go down. But regardless, we still only need to collect that amount of money. So some people's taxes will go up, but some people's will go down because you only need the $10 that we approve here today. Okay, so yes, some taxes may go up or will go up, I guarantee it. Some will go down. I guarantee that also. Because we're not looking to collect any more money, we're just looking to make things fairer across the spectrum.
And you're saying that this hasn't been done in 10 years, and it's done this year?
That's a state law, yeah.
Yeah, it was actually last done in 2009 for the 2010 tax year. Yeah.
Further questions, comments on Article 17? Yes.
And so how far away are we from having enough money in this reserve fund to actually do this townwide revaluation?
Yeah.
2 years. So this amount will be 18,800 this year. It'll be 18,800 next year. And then that entire need for that reserve disappears.
And that would be enough
Correct.
to pay for that?
Yeah, so this article was 23,000 last year. We reduced it to 18,800 because that's what we need to get to the number that we've agreed to with the assessors.
Okay, so we already have an agreement in place. It's not going to be like.
Nope, will not change.
Need to.
Nope.
Need an extra.
We have a contracted amount.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Further questions, comments on Article 17? Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 17 as presented? Those opposed? The article is accepted. Chase my paperwork here. Article 18, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the following sums to cover health and sanitation expenses. Well, I guess that's what we call going to the dump in the old days. Total is $405,000. Do we hear a motion?
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Questions, comments on Article 18? Yeah.
Just a comment. I realize we signed the contract, but we as a town screwed this whole process up. We didn't start the bidding process until, I want to say 2 months before the original bid was over because we forgot to put it in last year's town warrant to allow the selectmen to enter into this contract. So they put themselves in a position, not of strength when negotiating this. And I think it just needs to be put out there on record that, you know, we royally messed this up. And that maybe moving forward, we could look into, you know, joining the dumb people, because maybe that would save us some money.
Further questions, comments on Article 18? Yes, Jeff?
On the recycling, the $500 is fine. But we need to recycle more, and last year we had 10.3%, this year we're 10.3%. So maybe we should either put more effort into advertising more on recycling, and possibly some, since we're here, I'd like to have a new sticker telling people that they need to recycle, otherwise it reflects in your taxes. You know, so just to be aware that we need to recycle, even though you don't politically like it, it does reduce your taxes. Maybe we should put something in a new sticker, right, for people's barrels and stuff to drive that point home.
True fact. Further questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 18 as presented? Those opposed? The article is accepted. Article 19, see if town will vote to raise and appropriate the following sums to cover winter road maintenance and sand and salt expenses. We have a total for this article of $615,000. Do we have a motion?
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 19 as presented? Them as opposed? Article 19 is accepted. Article 20, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board, I should say, on behalf of the town to enter into a 3-year contract with plow contractors for each of the north and south sections for winter road maintenance for the 2026-27 winter through 2028-29 winter. We have a motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions, comments? Yes, sir.
Why a 3-year contract instead of a 1-year contract?
David?
Generally, the contractors don't like 1-year contracts because if they don't have the equipment, they're buying for 1 year and no guarantee after that. So their price would be higher.
Go.
I can remember years ago when my father plowed snow for the contractor, and the contract was 5 years. And then after that, it became a 3-year with a possible 2-year extension, which I plowed on. I plowed for the contractor from 95 to 2001. 6 winters I drove snowplow. And he got the 2-year extension a couple of times.
Yeah. You aren't old enough to have done the snow roller, are you?
No, I'm not old enough for that.
Okay. I was just checking. Further questions or comments on Article 20, snow plowing? Yes.
Regarding paving, the decision to strategically decide which roads should be paved and how much, does that come through the select board, or does the road commission make a proposal to you, or how is that decided?
That's the next article, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're still on plowing.
Yeah, we're just moving snow right now. Further questions, comments on Article 20? Yes.
I'm just wondering, have you guys ever looked into going back to a 5-year contract? Do you think you get more, I think, a little longer contract?
Possible. Yeah, haven't considered it, but definitely worth.
You could put the bids out with each option, something, it's the same thing, you're asking a contractor that doesn't have the equipment, 3 years, he might not get it again, and sell
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, could pull some of the contractors. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, John.
I'd like to make a comment, back when my father plowed snow for Ivy Grand Bull, and he plowed for Frank Lord. But all he did was plow snow, the town took care of its own sanding. They hired trucks, sand trucks to do sanding, it wasn't combined with the snowplow contract. When I was doing it, it was sanding and all.
Anything else on Article 20? before we go to a vote? Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 20, snow plowing, raise your hands. Those opposed? Article 20 is accepted. 21, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate following amounts to cover highway and bridge expenses. And we have $620,000 up on the table. Do we have a motion?
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Article 21, highway bridge expenses, paving and stuff. Questions, discussion? Yes, sir.
Repeat my question. The strategic decision to where to spend the money, how is that done? Is that with the advice and consent of the select board, or is it the road commissioner?
Yes, sir.
So typically, I try to take the complaints or concerns that I get, and then a lot of it has to do with cost. They're expensive to pave, so we get bids on what we feel are the worst roads to pave, and then kind of shuffle it around to see what we can get done. And I do present it with the selectmen, we talk it over and decide.
Okay, I've just received a request from Jen. She's taken notes, and she asks that when you make comments, please say who you are. We'll put that into the minutes, and that's important. We may need to ask you some more questions down the road. We're on Article 21. Questions,
Coming
comments?
back to what I said before, I think we need more oversight on the road commission. I think we need to see how the budget is broken out, we need to see what things cost, we need to see how decisions are made. Because, I don't wanna, I don't know why you did what you did, but you cut,
So it's not.
Let him finish, please.
Sorry, yeah, you can explain it, because I know that blood gets thrown a lot, and I'm not trying to do that.
Yep, no, it's fine.
But the way that the road looks on Middle Road it's terrible. And it seems like it's being done on all the roads. A lot of numbers are flying around town as rumors as to how much it's costing. I think we need some more transparency here in terms of what gets done. And that's not what we're voting on, but that is related to what we're voting on.
Yes.
So on my area, I'm the road commissioner. We have got some concerns about how it looks after we ditch. There's a lot of reasons why we do it. I think after the grass grows in, they look more presentable like any other road in town or any state highway or any other road you go down. So drainage is huge. If the road's holding water, you get the frost heaves. And also, there's 42 miles of dirt road, and it's extremely hard to grade without a ditch to work. So your water's running down the side of the road, and it washes all our gravels into the ditch, and it's gone. And we spend a lot of money on gravel trying to bring the roads back. So the ditches are really essential to keep the roads passable, I guess.
Dan?
Dan Flynn. I think one thing that should be pointed out, a lot of people don't realize, an awful lot of the roads in this town belong to the state to take care of. So Elm Street, Merrill Hill, parts of Middle Road, all those are state roads, and they're the ones doing the ditching throughout the town.
Jeff?
Wow. Yeah, Middle Road and other dirt roads, they're widening pretty hard right up to the stone wall. But there's also another thing going on too, and I call it rock litter, where they're digging out or grading the roads, and they dig out these rocks, and they end up piling them on top of maybe the old stone wall, or leave them off to the side instead of hauling them off. And I think that we should be taking all that fill that we do haul off from those roads, instead of, I heard something about filling in wetlands. I don't know if that's true or not, but maybe we should be taking that fill and bringing it to a couple of the stations that we have in town and dropping that fill there. Maybe we can sift it out for gravel and sand instead of buying it from, a gravel company. But this rock litter is a little bit much.
Yes, sir.
To touch on the wetlands, so obviously the the work is done by town employees, they get paid by the hour, and then the equipment is just hourly. So whatever the guys run for equipment, it gets billed hourly. So if the truck has to haul the material all the way to the salt shed or to someone's property miles down the road, it in turn costs more money. So ever since I can remember, I may be wrong, but where we live on Middle Road has kind of been a place where the town has lost some material off doing road work. And that was an oversight on my behalf. I didn't realize it was a wetlands, so, and it was just basically to save the town time and money, what that was.
And I think the plantation saved you money, well, saved the town money.
Yeah, they found some spots for us to.
Allowing, we got the plantation has allowed them to dump some of this stuff along with the ATV club helping us out.
Yep.
And, we do appreciate it, and it did save some time.
And the rock, so the rock litter, typically we try to haul them off. If they're big, that's gonna damage the equipment. We try to just kind of somewhat respectively try to place them somewhat presentable. It's hard sometimes to make everybody happy, but that's kind of the reasoning behind not hauling off the big boulders, just because it's really abrasive on the equipment. What was the other thing? I guess I can't remember what the other
Yes, sir.
I just got one question. I know you guys have been hauling it and dumping it in different places. And I saw this going to the ATV club. Is there added cost to do that?
No, it actually, that was the closest dump site we had.
Okay.
So it actually kind of helped us out.
I mean,
If we
I
left
think
it,
it's a good use of the material. It can't be used back on the road, but
that's what.
for us to pay more money to haul it further to them, I don't.
The placement of hauling material to our two salt sheds, really limited on space. And then it's really no good for anything. You might be able to possibly mix it in with some organic material to make green loam, but it's just salt, sand, and rocks, and leaves, and pine needles. It's really nothing that you could recycle, or it's just basically wasted. It's fill material, so the more people that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just to answer this question too, the ATV club did not ask for this. That was all, that was the manager of the plantation that thought it would be a good idea to do that.
Yes.
Just to comment on moving materials around, Maya, there's a lot of invasive plants that are growing along on South Road and on Cram Road. There's
Yeah, we have,
knotweed. I'm aware of that because we don't want to spread them.
Right, it is. So typically, the Japanese knotweed, what you see on South Road,
Yeah.
it's like, it's terrible. So whenever we dump that stuff at the salt shed on Middle Road, there's a banking. We're kind of right down the road, but we try to keep the tar in there. We try to dump it in the other knotweed, try to keep the properties whenever we do the knotweed. But on the roof, and so the only thing you could do is spray, and a lot of people have dug wells near the road. So there's a lot of a lot of people aren't, obviously, I wouldn't want that near my well, my kids drinking it either, so. Really, only way to get rid of it is to spray it and kill it, and people don't want it, so we're kind of stuck with just keeping it broke down the best we can. Sure the plows might help a little bit too, you might put one in the spring of the year or whatever and drag it down and it transplants, and, we try not to spread it, but.
Way in the back corner, yes.
My name's John Brock. I have a question. This gentleman mentioned that some of the work, some of these roads are state roads, and some of them are town roads. How do we know how much the state is doing on these roads and how much money is going to our private roads? So obviously, our road commissioner only does, a half or a third of Parsonsfield?
What'd you say the percentage was?
It's 89 miles from town, and I believe it's 19 state aid, 19 miles of state aid.
It's only 19 miles?
I believe so. It may be 20, I think it's 19.
But that's the ballpark, you'd say. That's the ballpark
Yeah,
figure.
that's, I mean, the broken yardstick.
And that's all maintained there.
So any road in town with a double yellow line, or any yellow line, painted lines in state aid, except for 153. They gave that back to us 2 or 3 years ago, and I think that's like 2 miles.
That New Hampshire section.
Yeah,
I live right near it.
yeah, from the golf course, basically up to Thornton.
Oh, yeah, I just, I know that, obviously the state, we got a lot of money, it wasn't money for the state supplies money for the lottery, and the state supplies money for the roads and bridges and highways. I mean, you know, doesn't seem like they're not doing a whole lot for some of that money. I mean, a couple of years ago, there was a $1.7 trillion construction bill there that was passed of bridges and highways, and we're gonna do all of America. Didn't see too much in the process field.
Yeah, yes, sir.
So I went out, I had the plow contract, the north section a couple of years ago, when we had all that ice on Elm Street, over the ditch. And I called to try to get them to fix it, and they said that, basically, I kind of asked how that worked and how they picked it or whatever, so each road is classed, and even Route 25 is like, I think like third down on the state classifications of where they allocate the money to, so we're kind of like the bottom of the totem pole out here. We really don't get any representation, really.
Anything else before we move to a vote? Jeff, briefly.
General maintenance, does that include buying equipment?
General maintenance, is that
No.
road work or equipment?
No, my business buys all the equipment, the shovels, the chainsaws, the compactors. So no.
Yeah, the town does not own any equipment, nor do we buy it.
Okay, I thought that there was somebody, at a couple of select board meetings, that there was one for 10,000 for buying equipment and 6,000 for buying equipment. There was no, we never paid for any equipment for the roads,
Don't believe so.
not even orange cones.
Possibly orange cones or things that they pick up at Cornish Hardware or Keyser Falls Hardware, but
It'd be more of other than cones and signage, I guess, it would be consumables, you know, whether we needed some concrete to put in a signpost or whatever.
yeah, we don't buy equipment.
Ready to vote on Article 21?
Yeah.
Okay, Article 21, $620,000 for highway and bridge expenses. All those in favor? Those opposed? The article carries. It's roads and the dump that always gets the best discussions. Article 22, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to appropriate up to $101,980 for the maintenance of roads from the current fiscal year. And this is LRAP, the Local Road Assistance Program, state-funded road maintenance program, is involved. Is there a motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions, comments? Yes, please speak right up.
My name's Kim Tappan. The road commissioner, do you guys ride around the roads, or do you wait until somebody actually calls and has?
So, you know, if we're out just riding the roads, we really do appreciate calls when there's a problem. It really helps us out. There's a lot of roads to look at. There's 2 full-time guys that basically work on the roads. They can only be so many places at once. We really try to minimize. I don't know how many hours and time and miles that I put on that nobody knows that I'm doing it. I do check them, but again, I have a full-time job to support my family too, and I have an excavation business, so I'm pretty busy doing that. But so we do appreciate the calls to let us know if there's a problem.
Thank you.
Anything else on Article 22? Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 22 as presented? Those opposed? 22 is accepted. Article 23, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to cover the general assistance program. We have a motion.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. General assistance, discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 23? Those opposed? 23 is accepted. Excuse me. Article 24, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate following sums to cover cultural and recreation expenses. We have a total of $11,350. Library, Rec Council, Historical Society, and Smooth Feather. Do we have a motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 24? Those opposed? 24 is accepted. Turned over. Article 25, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the following sums to cover social services expenses. The total is $7,987, and you can see a list of worthy organizations that that'll go to. Do we have a motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions, discussion? Yes.
More of a comment, not looking to be accused of being a bad individual.
That's okay. You'll be in good company.
However, our taxes are going up a significant amount of money this year. This article is in the nice to have. It would be great if we could, donate money to every organization that needs it. But in order to donate money, we have to have some for ourselves. And I think in this situation, this article should not pass. We should keep the money to reduce the tax burden. And so that all of us don't need all these, situations. So I just wanted to say that.
Yes, I'll get to you in a sec. Yes.
The taxes are going up, so that's all the more reason that we should be putting some money aside for people who are on a fixed income or people who need services like the Red Cross. This is the time when we should be thinking about those people.
Yes, sir.
Can you get a brief overview of what day one and Sweetser are, because they are new this year and there's no pre-cut?
What is day one and what is Sweetser? Who can answer that? Jen?
Day one is a rehab. I believe it's located in Wyndham. I'm right? There's been so
Yes.
many that came through, and a lot of them did not get any money from us. Day one is a rehab in Wyndham, and they have, when they send us their reports, they tell us how many folks from Parsonsfield they have taken care of.
Is that drug
Yes.
things? And what is Sweetser?
Sweetser
That's a
is-
children's thing?
Yeah, that's, I think that's in Portland.
Sweetser covers mental health services.
Okay, Sweetser's mental health services, is that adults or kids or everybody? Okay, everybody with a brain.
So the Sweetser letter is on page 60, and I'm struggling to find the one from day one.
Yeah, I just had it.
Day one?
Yeah, it's on page 29.
Somebody said page 29 has some explanations. I'll be with you in a minute. This fellow had his hand up
What's
first.
the question? Why do we give this money? Just being nice? Like, is that why? Just a donation? Why does the town do that?
Go ahead.
They do provide services to.
Yeah, they provide services to residents of the town. They have a budget, as we talked about with rescue, where any monies that they may get from the feds or the state or whoever doesn't cover their full operating cost.
Gotcha.
I can tell you that other towns, these organizations and many others will submit a letter ahead of budget time explaining what they do and asking for money. And the selectmen and the select board and the budget committee tend to triage them. Many of them will not appear on the warrant. I'll be right with you, Carolyn, way in the back, yes.
I just had a question. Being on the budget committee, we had decided on the Sweetser that we had dropped it to 500. I just was wondering, do you take into account what we discussed about these donations? That we went with the higher amount to them, where we felt that day one, I believe it was, should have gotten an increase in what they needed. And we don't know how many people everybody services and costs. So anybody can send in a request for a large amount of money, which some do, and if you just went with the full $1,000.
Well,
David?
suites are actually requested $1,500. So we didn't go with the full amount. We reduced that to 1,000.
How many people did they service?
18 Parsons Field residents.
Day one service was one resident.
Well, current fiscal year, they've served
Is
3.
this something new?
I'm sorry, what?
Is day one a newer one, or?
Yes, I believe the request is, yeah. Yeah.
But like with the Red Cross, they service one person and they get 500.
3 for the current year, yeah.
Yeah.
1 for the previous.
So, I mean, it's kind of, everybody can send in a request, but maybe we need to do more due diligence and see who's actually really helping our people.
We do that.
Yeah.
Marilyn, you had something to say?
Yes, for instance, the Grateful Undead, just for an example, they are mostly volunteer, and they take people to doctors, important doctor appointments they can't make otherwise. They do that as one of the many things they do. These people couldn't get to those places. If everybody here wanted to join in, especially the ones that are bitching about the money, want to join in and start taking people around that can't make it to various things they have to do, it would be awesome. It's called the Grateful Undead. If you want that yet, please see them about joining that project. It's wonderful, but they do need $550 for organizing phone bills and all that stuff.
Liability.
Thank you.
Further questions, comments, discussion? Yes, Joe?
I have been on the budget committee for several years, 2 years ago, and we used to get a letter from some of the, most of these, telling us how much money they spent in the last year in this town. And I've talked to budget committees of the other towns, and they said they'd get the same thing.
Yeah. Is that, some of that is in the
Yes.
later pages of the town report?
It's in the beginning pages.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Good. Okay, we ready to vote on Article 25? Hearing no otherwise, all those in favor of Article 25 as presented? Those opposed? Article 25 is accepted. Article 26, see if the town vote to raise and appropriate the following sums. Cover miscellaneous expenses, and these are veterans' graves, American Legion, and cemetery repairs, $4,181. Do we have a motion?
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Comments? Jeff?
How many cemeteries does the town have?
Total, over 150. I believe it's 163.
Town-owned, I should say.
Town-owned, 3.
Thank you.
Ready? Yes, Joe?
I think some of these cemeteries, I do know that Maplewood Cemetery has its own system,
Association, probably.
its own association.
Yeah.
I don't know about some of the others in town, but some of them are owned by the town. I think Maplewood under its own.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we have one in East Parsonsfield that's on Weeks Road. It's called East Parsonsfield Cemetery. And we take care of it ourselves. Although I did find out the town should either do the veterans' graves or give us money to help compensate to take care of the veterans' graves, which we have never gotten from the town. I didn't know it until just in the last couple of years that was supposed to be something towns were supposed to do. But yeah, we do our own. The Eastman Weeks Cemetery, which is on 160, that one actually we just found out was turned over to the town from Merle Roberts back in 1975 or something like that, which nobody knew.
Carolyn?
Back ways, I don't know, 15 years ago or so, 20 maybe, Michael used to do all 150 of those graves. He got a lot of poison ivy. But he found out that he'd been an outlaw. We didn't know back in the old days that we weren't supposed to be doing these. Somebody, I don't know, maybe somebody looked it up and found out, oh, he's only supposed to do 3, right? So, he stopped. There's somebody they hired to do some of it. He always notices things like, well, the fence is shaky, or this needs that. There's a grave in North Road that, I don't know, somebody's trying to get out. There's a big hole and the dirt's thrown out. They haven't filled that in yet. He's watching all the time. That's the only thing he can do anymore.
Make a
But
call.
Todd's still in the graves, even though he was total outlaw except for 3 already. That's all. I just wanted to say, they're wonderful. I mean, all these little graves all around. Some of them are just growing up. The one over with the Fenderson Farm on Fenderson Road, where the Berries live, was all poison ivy. And Michael would go in there, and when he came out, days, he was laid up. That's it, I guess. I'm not adding this, I guess.
Yes, Jen.
Carolyn, I want to just tell you that who was ever trying to get out of that grave can't do it anymore. Maya kindly donated material and we filled it in.
And you might mention the fence too. We also have somebody who's going to finally fix the fence around that cemetery. Yeah, he's going to make it pretty much original.
Yeah, it's so pretty,
Yeah.
when it's standing up. He's stuck 2 sticks to hold it up.
Yeah,
But, a good wind will take care of it.
yeah.
Did you have something?
Yeah, I just want to state, as a 6-year Army veteran, this is deep to my heart. And the more the better. That's all I want to say.
Thank you. Further questions, discussion on Article 26? Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 26 as presented? Those opposed? Article 26 accepted. Article 27, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,950 for the town share of funding the courtesy boat inspection station at the Long Pond Boat Ramp. Do we have a motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments? Jeffrey?
I've mentioned this before to the select board and the budget committee, that maybe we should have a donation bucket of some sort for these boaters that want to use the pond and have their boat inspected, that maybe they could kick in a little bit for those that don't have boats.
Possible. Further comments on boat inspection article? Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 27 is presented. Those opposed? 27 is accepted. Article 28, to see if the town will vote to appropriate the refunded fees from snowmobile registration to be split equally between the Sockopee Valley Snowdrifters Incorporated Snowmobile Club and the Route 11 Streakers Snowmobile Club. Said sum to be the amount refunded by the state for the prior fiscal year. Evidently, it was $351. Money is to be used for purposes such as trail maintenance, construction, or purchases of equipment and materials for the maintenance and construction of trails, which are open to the public free of charge during the winter season. Do we have a motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 28 as presented. Those opposed? Article's accepted. 29, to see if the town will vote to appropriate any franchise fees received in the prior fiscal year from Spectrum Charter to be given to TV2 for the purchase and maintenance of equipment and for operating costs. Evidently, the amount was $5,442.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 29 as presented. Those opposed? Article 29 is accepted. What's that thing on the screen that says sign in?
Yeah, it's for the computer, it's
Yeah.
fine.
Oh, is that there all the time or?
No, we'll get rid of it, but they.
Oh, okay, make that go away.
Yeah.
Article 30, to see if the town will raise and appropriate $6,000. It comes to $2,000 for each department. And to authorize the select board, yeah, that's better, on behalf of the town to enter into a mutual aid agreement with the town of Newfield's Fire Department, town of Limerick Fire Department, and the town of Effingham Fire Department for fire protection, and Effingham's Rescue for emergency first response medical care for the western area of Parsonsfield for the ensuing year. Do we have a motion?
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Comments on Article 30?
Norm? Oh, go ahead.
I'm decided, I feel this is a good expense to the town. 'Cause last night, my son was having chest pains. He's living in a camper in my dooryard right now.
Mm-hmm.
He had chest pains, and he called up 911, and who showed up in Newfield?
Oh.
They're the nearest one to us. I think it's a good thing to have, what do they call it?
Mutual aid.
Mutual aid between the different towns near us.
That's what bails all of us towns out.
Cedar Falls has to travel a long way to get over on our end of town.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we do have mutual aid, and, but we will, if it's if we have 2 trucks out, that's when mutual aid is put in place. The, average response time for last month for Parsonsfield for Sockopee Rescue was 11 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So, but to the western end, you're correct, this is necessary.
Yeah, that's the high end of the average, huh?
Norm? Oh, sorry.
Danielle?
Can the select board explain a little bit what the mutual aid agreements are at this point? There was a concern we didn't have actual agreements.
Can you say that louder, please, Danielle?
Can the select board explain the mutual aid agreements?
That's what I was gonna do.
Departments a little bit and the status of those.
Yeah, that's exactly why I had my hand up before the question was asked, but I didn't get in.
My bad.
No, that's all right. We have not had written mutual aid agreements in the past. I have started the process. I hope to have it finished by this time, but I didn't make it, for coming up with mutual aid agreements with the organizations specified here. So within the next some period of time, excuse me, those formal agreements, excuse me, should be in place. We have the informal ones in the meantime. I need some water.
Want a jug of water, David?
Oh, gee, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'll go get your replacement.
That's okay. Here, you say your piece and then get the replacement.
No, that's it.
Oh,
Basically,
okay.
the formal agreements, written agreements are in the works.
Anything else on mutual aid? Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 30 as presented, please raise your hands. Those opposed, Article 30 is accepted. Thanks, Dave. Article 31, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $15,000 to be placed in the municipal building capital repair fund. Do we have a motion?
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Yes.
So this little piece of paper says we've got like $94,000 in the reserve fund currently. Is that a real number? Because I remember voting to expend close to $80,000 to do upgrades to this building. Yet another vote that I lost. But that will decide, like if we really do have close to $100,000, I'm not sure we need another 15 in that reserve fund.
Yeah.
But if it's already spent,
Have it.
then it shouldn't be on the piece of paper so that we can make, informed decisions.
Select board.
Yeah, so that 91 does not include the $70,000 contract that we have to upgrade the boiler.
So it doesn't, or it does. I misheard.
So it would be 21, if the cost is 70, it would be 21,000 left in the reserve.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's not a real number then.
We haven't spent the money yet.
Right.
So it is a real number.
Danielle.
I just come in, they get transferred out of the reserve account into the checking to pay out. So that is a real number currently because it allocated. But it is allocated.
Right. So it's not a real number.
Okay.
Anything else on Article 31? Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 31 as presented, please raise your hands. Those opposed? Article is accepted. 32, to see if the town will vote to appropriate $20,000 from the Bartlett Doe Fund, which is credited to the relief account by a vote of the town on the 9th of March, 1953 for the support of the common schools, and said sum to be applied as partial payment of the school assessment for the ensuing year. Do we have a motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of Article 32? Those opposed? 32 is accepted. Article 33, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $500 to fund the Town of Parsonsfield Recreation Committee.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Jeffrey?
Two things. I noticed on Article 24, it didn't list. So would Article 33 be, next year, be listed in Article 24?
Yeah, this is the first year. It's a new committee. This is the first year that we're asking for money for it. So yes, it would go there next year.
But I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I've done that plenty of times, but shouldn't our committee join the rec council?
That's been brought up.
Instead of having a separate one, shouldn't we, like?
We are part of the rec council.
Okay, we're part of the rec council, but we started our own committee, rec committee.
Yes.
The two.
Numerous things that have been identified that a rec committee could address. A potential for something down at the box shop, trails, a playground, canoe put in.
I get all that, but I just.
For Parsonsfield residents.
We should have got to be a member of the other committee and put those ideas forward, because they got a bigger bank account.
Okay.
Don't have to agree.
Now, I put a question about that, and I did get a response, and they're appointed by the selectmen, so say I want to be on that committee, I can volunteer.
You have to have a baseball glove, though.
I don't.
There you go, close enough. Anything else on Article 23, Recreation Committee? Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 33, all those in favor of Article 33 as presented, raise your hands. Those opposed? 33 is accepted. 34, see if the town will vote to authorize the select board on behalf of the town to accept or refuse donations and bequests that may be offered to the town, and if accepted, to spend the same in accordance with the wishes of the donor. Such expenditures shall be in addition to any other amounts raised or appropriated elsewhere for a similar purpose. Get a motion?
Second.
Discussion. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I wrote a note on this one, I was going through in the last couple of days. My first thing was, why would we refuse a donation?
Sometimes they come with conditions that the town may not like.
Right.
You know, somebody gives the town $1 million with the proviso that they use it to paint all the roads in town purple. You might not want to do that.
It'd be colorful.
Yeah, it would be. Yes.
What's the current way to do this that it is presented to the town and we vote? Like, it sounds like we're just giving the select board the right to vote on our behalf. At reading that language, it sounds more like we don't get to vote on that.
This article authorizes the select board in that case.
So is the current way we do it now, that if someone wants to donate money to our town, the select board has to then have a meeting, and the town then gets to vote on whether we accept or refuse the donation?
The way this is written, the select board consider and make the decision.
I know, but I'm saying currently,
Yeah.
is the current way we do things, the town gets to meet with the select board.
No,
Is this changing that?
no, this has been the same for years.
Both the same question.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
so we just say yea or nay, so can we change the language of this to say that as a town, we would like to meet and vote on a donation?
It could be changed. I don't think we can do that today. That's changing the nature, but I guess the issue there is if you decide you want to pursue that, you might put a limit, a lower limit on how much would have to, or, yeah, a lower limit on how much would have to go to the town. Somebody may donate $500 to put a new sign up somewhere, you know, and do you want that to go to town? So, yeah, could be done.
Yes, sir.
I'm John Lesko. I would assume that we can trust the selectmen if there happened to be a big donation coming in to actually hold a hearing.
Probably.
What would you consider a big donation?
Well, that's the hard part.
Yeah.
If somebody came in and had some sort of what some would consider nefarious motives.
Yep.
We have no choice but to trust you. That's why we vote for you.
Joe?
This isn't really a donation thing, but it is donations. I like the fact that I like to commend all the town officers. They keep a donation jar there in the office.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I go in there to do business, I always drop $5 or $10 in it.
Yeah.
To help out people that are low income but can't get fuel assistance, to help them get some heat in the wintertime. I know one year when Dave was working in the office there all the time, he bought a half a cord of wood from me. And I told him, he paid me for it and told me how to deliver it.
Yeah.
Somebody over in West Parsonsville, a family over there, that didn't have much of any money, and they couldn't afford to buy the wood, that's what he did. He bought a half a cord from me and told me to deliver it over there.
Half a cord's a big deal on a cold winter night, yeah.
They thought it was a gift. I said, well, it is from the people of Townfield, town of Parsonsville. I told them about the donation jar. I think that's a good thing.
Absolutely. Jeffrey?
I think as long as the Article 34 is brought up in a workshop and a select board meeting about a certain donation that the public, if they do attend meetings or listen to the broadcast, that they'll be able to make a good judgment as well.
Good point.
Have you got a codicil in your will yet?
Huh? Oh, yeah, there.
There you go. Further discussion, yes, sir.
I'm Dan Bushman. I do think that the wording of this would be better to have a limit on the amount. Let's say anything under X amount, select board fine, but anything of value over X amount, the town ought to have input on.
Yeah, and that's.
$1 million donation.
Yeah.
We ought to have input on that.
Yeah.
Neither for or against, but we can't change the word again.
Right.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Have a warrant article. To do some sort of conversation.
I would recommend that since we're probably, as the gentleman pointed out, we may be talking about significant chunks of money in some cases. If somebody, well, I mean, $500,000 used to be a lot of money. You can die with $500,000 now and you're nobody special. And somebody might decide to leave that to the town. Yeah, that's a big deal for the town above and beyond. I would say look into it for next year's warrant to be safe. Further discussion on Article 34.
So an amendment can't be made to set a limit?
Let me see how I put that in.
That's a pretty dramatic change. I know, because then you're saying we have to go to.
What I'm hearing.
Yeah, then you're saying we'd have to go to town meeting, basically, to get the town's input. And personally, I would say that that's more of a change than would be allowed
Yeah, it's,
town meeting.
there is a thing in articles called scope. And a change such as that would set up a major new procedure to decide what is an amount, what is the mechanism for accepting with conditions or rejecting an amount of money. I would say that that is outside the scope of this particular article, therefore not subject to an amendment at this meeting. However, I think the point is very well taken. I would recommend that the selectmen and townspeople look into it for next year's town meeting and just trust that somebody's not going to leave you $1 million in the interim. But again, you'd have to set up a mechanism, set up a lower limit to where it's really worth messing with. But yeah, the idea has merit. Further discussion on Article 34. Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 34 as presented? Those opposed? The article is accepted. Just curious,
No.
in the last 10 or 20 years, has anyone donated a big fat chunk of money to the town, like 50 or 100,000?
No,
No? And not $1 million either?
not $1 million either.
Darn. Okay, Article 35. This is a boilerplate article. See if the town will vote to establish 60 days after commitment as the date when the 2025 real estate and personal property taxes will be due and payable, and to establish a rate of 7% interest to be charged on all unpaid taxes as of that date. The maximum allowable rate set by the state of Maine is 7.5% per annum. Have a motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of Article 35 is presented. Those opposed? Article is accepted. 36, see if the town will vote to establish a rate of 2% discount to be allowed on all real estate and personal property taxes paid in full within 30 days of commitment. Moved and seconded. Discussion. Jeffrey.
I brought this up before. I think maybe our tax bill should be broken up a little bit for those that end up in trouble. They can't pay their taxes. I know everybody knows their taxes are due at a certain time of year, but other towns are breaking it up to a quarterly or half a year.
Yeah.
And if somebody pays it right off the bat, they get the 2%, even though other towns don't give it 2%.
Carolyn.
There is one here, as it always is, about paying ahead. And that's what Michael and I do. We send like $100 a month or 150 or whatever it takes. We usually wind up with a bit at the end.
Yeah.
A little bit, but it really helps. If you do it that way, it seems, yeah, otherwise we couldn't, we'd be a real mess.
Takes the pain out of it a little bit.
Pain.
Yeah, I know, in Baldwin, we went to, you can pay it all in, Debbie will send us a bill this month. You can pay it all at once, or you can pay half now and half in 6 months. Take your choice, and depending on the family budget, that may be a smart thing. But anyway, this is about 2% discount. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 36 as presented. Those opposed? 36 is accepted. And occasionally back in town, I mentioned that Parsonsfield's got a 2% discount if you pay promptly. They just laugh at me. I think it's a hell of a good idea. Article 37, to see if the town will vote to use the tax lien mortgage method for the collection of unpaid taxes after the expiration of 8 months from the commitment date, and to establish 7% as the rate of interest to be charged on all liens until paid in full. The maximum allowable rate set by the state is 7.5% per annum. The select board shall use the special sale process required by 36 MRS Section 743C for qualifying homestead property if they choose to sell any tax lien foreclosed property to anyone other than the former owners. Have a motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Yes, sir.
What is the special sale process for said properties?
David.
Basically, it says you have to first attempt to sell it back to the prior owner. After that, any proceeds above and beyond the taxes due, cost of sale, and any legal fees involved have to go back to the prior owner.
That was put in by the state of Maine 3, 4, 5 years ago to prevent towns, which they had been doing, from taking poor folks' property and selling it and making a profit on it and leaving the poor guy with nothing. So it's a good thing. Article 37, all those in favor? Those opposed? 37 is accepted. Article 38, see if the town will vote to authorize the tax collector to accept prepayment of taxes. The amount collected not to exceed the previous year's taxes. Interest on any prepayment will be 0%. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in, did somebody have a hand up? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of 38 as presented. Those opposed? Article 38 is accepted. Article 39, see if the town will vote to establish 7% as the rate of interest it will pay on taxes that have been overpaid in excess of the full amount assessed in accordance with MRSA Title 36, Section 506A. Do we have a motion? Moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. Those in favor of Article 39 as presented. Those opposed? Article is accepted. Article 40, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to use monies from the overlay account for real estate and property tax discounts and tax abatement, including any interest accrued thereon. We have a motion on that. Discussion. Yes, sir.
So what is this overlay account and typically how much money is involved?
Who wants to talk about that?
I'm going to get my tongue tied here because I can't explain it properly. It is similar to the surplus, but much less. Again, it's a number that the auditors tell us and relates again to the surplus. Basically, what we're saying here is we can,
You forgot, it's like the lost money fund.
well, yeah, not forgotten, but not allocated.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's a separate sugar bowl.
yeah.
Further discussion on Article 40. Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 40 as presented. Those opposed? Article's accepted. Article 41, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,500 to help cover the cost of tree removal from the old part of the cemetery in East Parsonsfield on the Weeks Road. And this article is here as a result of a citizen's petition. Do we have a motion?
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Do we have a citizen here who was involved in the petition? Yes.
So I'm the president of the East Parsons, Debbie Harrington. I'm the president of the East Parsonsfield Cemetery Association, and we have many dead maple trees within the outside fence and down through our cemetery. We have what we call the old section, and then we have the annex section, which is newer, which is fine. The old trees are rotting from the inside out. The limbs are breaking off. It's a mess. It's really bad. And we're worried about the old stones because these stones date back to early, mid-1800s. There's veterans, they really need to be taken care of. I had contacted a tree group that I had worked with before, and they were willing, this was a year ago, so it's probably changed a little now, but they were willing to donate their equipment to take these trees down for us. They basically would just have to pay their manpower, which $2,500 for like 4 trees was pretty dang good.
Yeah.
The town has decided the ones on the outside of the fence are on the town's property. So those we don't have to have taken down by our group. It's just the ones that are inside the cemetery. Anybody wants to look at it, it's right on Weeks Road, in East Parsonsfield. And it's a very nice little cemetery. So that's why we're requesting $2,500.
Questions, discussion? Yes, sir.
So if you don't spend $2,500, you're gonna write us a check?
Oh, sure, personally, you?
Me, but
No,
the town of Parsons.
my thing is the $2,500 was the estimate he gave me. It could possibly be more
Sure,
than
no,
that,
I
because
understand.
that was a year ago.
Yep.
But the 2,500 was to take down 4 trees, so I'm sure we can definitely use all 2,500.
But that shouldn't be a goal. The goal should be to do it as inexpensively as possible.
$2,500 for 4 trees, I think is pretty darn inexpensive.
Oh, I do as well. I
Okay.
do as well. That speaks to the cavalier attitude about spending our tax dollars that's pervasive here.
As I had said previously, we have never had any help from the town on our cemetery.
Yep.
And we have veterans in there, graves dating back to early 1800s, so.
On that note, I'm in full support of supporting the trees. But on that note, if we do vote to give money to a group and they don't use it for those purposes, what happens to that money? Is there any check and balance that happens in?
Yeah, we would not pay the monies until there was an invoice that we saw and got a copy of. Yeah, we would not just give them the money. Yeah.
Jeffrey?
Is this one of the 3 cemeteries?
No.
On Weeks Road?
Right.
No, this is a nonprofit, private-owned cemetery.
Okay. Well, I guess my question is to the select board, which I brought up over and over again, that we should be taking care of the town cemeteries first. Charity begins at home, because we have a lot of trees on our cemeteries that need to be cut down, as well as the big tree at the Maplewood Sand and Salt Shed, big pine tree that needs to be cut down. And if you notice, the town report, it has a picture, very nice picture, and it's got a picture of an ash tree, which is dying, and I brought this up to the select board as well, that there's a lot of trees that are gonna have to be cut down, and we need help by the state, because there's a lot of ash trees that are dying, and the one in the picture shows the bark being degraded. I don't know if anybody noticed it, but.
Emerald ash borer.
Yeah. It's got a beautiful picture of the damage that's going on.
Maya, do you have your hand up? Or is
I
that
think we move on this one because that's, the town's cemetery is separate from what this lady's asking for.
Yes.
Is the town gonna cut the check to the nonprofit or to the vendor that does the work?
That's a good question.
Probably to the vendor.
Yeah.
But as you said, it's in response to an invoice, correct?
Right.
We actually had a copy of the estimate that we gave the select board. So they would invoice us and I'd turn it into the select board.
Further discussion on Article 41? Hearing none. Article 41, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,500 to help cover the cost of tree removal from the old part of the cemetery in East Parsonsfield on Weeks Road. All those in favor? Those opposed? The article is accepted. Article 42, to see if the town will vote to accept the revised bylaws of the Piper Free High School Fund as proposed on July 7th, 2025 by the current Piper Free High School Fund Board of Directors. As the last revision was approved on April of 1995. Do we have a motion?
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of Article 42 as presented? Those opposed? 42 is accepted. Article 43, to see if the town will vote to move $3,025 from the Piper Free High School Fund to set up a Piper Cemetery account based on $100 plus interest that Elijah Piper originally set aside in his will to maintain the cemetery. Moved and seconded. Discussion. Yes, sir.
All right, so as I read this, there already is a Piper Free High School Fund. There's already money there. But however many months and years and decades ago, when he said, I want $100 of whatever money he donated to be put in his cemetery fund, we ignored his wishes, and now we're trying to catch up. So is this interest that we use for this, what's the number based on? So is it based, did someone go back and do all the fancy math?
Yeah. It's amazing if you get online and just say interest calculation or something to that effect, put in the year that it started and the amount that it started with, you'll come up with a figure that they calculate. I did that for 3 sites and they were within a couple of dollars of each other.
An average then,
Yeah. Yep.
as opposed to the specific fund that we had the money deposited in.
Yeah. Oh, you mean what those funds were drawing?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
The
correct.
federal government's got a couple of those inflation sites, and you can find out that $1 in 1952 or whenever it was ain't worth much now.
Exactly.
Joe, you were there at that original, was it 1952, was it, the original town meeting?
Probably a town meeting then. I was not 13, 14 years old. So I used to go to every town meeting with my parents.
Yeah.
But I wanted to say that this Elijah Piper is some kind of an ancestor of my family. And this Piper Free High School Fund was started because of the past time up here, there was a private high school, and that was, the high school fund by Piper was put up by him so that resident students in this town could go there without having to pay tuition.
Okay.
The fund was especially supposed to pay their tuition for the high school.
Cool.
Very cool.
Further discussion on Article 43. Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 43 as read? Those opposed? Article 43 is accepted. Article 44. This is an advisory vote only. Article 44, to see if the town will support the creation and enactment of an ordinance that limits the number of new dwelling unit permits given out each year. Again, this is an advisory vote. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Discussion on this one. Is this come out of the select board?
Yes.
Why don't you introduce it, Jen?
I will. I've had quite a few residents approach us with the news that the planning board is looking at at subdivisions in several areas of the town, and people are a little bit up in arms about the number of houses that may come into the town, and why don't we have a cap? Why don't we have a growth limit? So my best suggestion was to put it out to everybody, and this would be a planning board, this would again go to a special town meeting because it's an ordinance that would be enacted.
Yep.
A lot of towns do have them. They only give out a certain amount of new dwelling permits. We're not talking about adding on or doing a shed or doing a garage. We're talking about a new building, a new home. And I put it in here to see what everybody thought about it.
So let's find out what everybody thinks about it. Yes, sir.
John Lesko, having spent 25 years researching this issue,
this is a stopgap measure because we have been unable to implement ordinances that allow for growth, but try to preserve the look and feel of the town. And specifically, if you look at the definition of village versus village residential, and I brought this up during the cannabis hearing, there's virtually no definition. Our town is unique in that it's the largest town in Maine, I believe, except the unincorporated territories geographically, but population-wise, we're one of the smallest. Now, because it's unique, we have 7 distinct villages, which give us the look and feel of the town. And we have been unable to agree, going back 25 years, what kind of zoning ordinances we need to preserve that look and feel. We haven't even been able to redefine the difference between village and village residential. And more importantly, what we need to do is recognize that the town is going to grow no matter what. The question becomes, how do we grow? If we want to preserve open space, what we have to do is find ways to buy easements from large landowners that may have plenty of land, but not even enough money to pay their taxes. But this is a broader question. If we pass it, we have to recognize that it's merely a stopgap measure that ultimately will be declared illegal by some court, because so many towns are doing this, that it's going to boil up to the state level.
I'm going to try to ping pong back and forth from one side of the hall to the other. Yes, sir.
My general opinion of new homes being put into a municipality like Parsons Field is good. I think that we need more supportive residents, we need better, better infrastructure for the residents that live here, and that comes with people moving in here. At the same time, preserving public space is extremely important. So I think the appropriate way to be able to try and control that is in acreages per housing unit, per housing units in a particular zone area, as opposed to a general stamp on this many houses in Parsons Field, period, which seems to be an arbitrary number that a group will get to decide based on feeling, as opposed to statistics or anything that can be shown to be evidence of this many houses good, that many houses bad. That's my opinion on it.
Carolyn.
I have a question. What would prevent, let's say you had a limit of 10 or 15 permits. What's to prevent a developer from grabbing all those permits for themselves and the people growing kids can't with the Parsons Field is the permit? Well, they could wait a year, I suppose, but what's to prevent that?
That would be something that would be discussed, talked about, and decided upon. There is no right or wrong right now. There is no answer to that. But these kinds of questions are good for the town to think about. Our comprehensive plan right now addresses it and has certain growth areas that they've identified where houses should be, and because of infrastructure. People move in and they want more. And we're already determining our budget, and we don't have a lot more. Roads, plowing, all the costs that we do. So anyway, that's what this is all about.
I can tell you, Carolyn, and I try to stay out of the discussions, but I'll be right with you. Try to stay out of the discussion as much as possible. In Baldwin, we have such a thing. I believe it's 15 permits, but we limit how many can go to a subdivision and designate some for just Mapa and the kids, regular folks. So, yeah, you can do that. Yes.
I think we've got zoning at this point, and it does address the size of lots in particular zoning areas. So we do have some of that in place, but this is a long time coming in this town, I think. I wish we'd done it 10 years ago, because we're one of the towns that doesn't have it, so all the growth is going to come here. So I think we have to get in line with what other towns have in place, or we're going to see tremendous growth.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a issue that's kind of dear to my heart. 3 years ago, I wrote this, an ordinance to preserve the rural character and lifestyle of Parsonsville. And I started to go around to it as a citizen's petition. I got a lot of resistance more than I thought I would. I sort of dropped the idea, but when the select board was reelected, I brought this to Jen and shared it with her. It addresses the issue that you mentioned in the same way that Baldwin does. I think, like this gentleman said, we're behind the times. Smithfield has had a limit for, I think, 10 or 15 years. St. Baldwin has one as well. I'm not aware of other towns. But just on the ground, from what I see on Middle Road, on my stretch of Middle Road between Merrill Hill and East Parsonsfield, there've been 6 or 7 new houses punched in the last year. You can see the difference in traffic. I'm not against people exercising their property rights, but you got to recognize that everything here seems to be quantified. If you want to quantify it, our property values are high as long as we maintain the character of this town that preserves our property values. And we turn it into a cookie cutter suburb that devalues not only our property values, but our quality of life. So I think this is really needed and important. Yes.
I live on Cram Road. I just want to mention that the character of the area that I live in has changed significantly over the last 10 years. There's 2 gravel pits within a couple miles of my house. The trucks are, enormous trucks are running constantly on a small road that's really not meant for that. I don't think we have a lot of building in our area right now, but there's some. And I do think we have to think about these things. What do we want? Do we want another mobile home park on the road? Do we want to have something to say about the businesses like gravel pits that find our town particularly attractive? I mean, what do we want our town to look like?
Yes, sir.
I would recommend a book written by Oliver J. Dillon quite a few years ago. Dan Flint did read it. He researched every town from the East Coast to the West Coast. The effort was, how do you limit growth? The title of the book is The Limitless City. What he found was there were only 2 towns nationwide that did zoning that actually improved the situation and allowed for growth. One was South Berwick, Maine, and the other was Portland, Oregon. Now, what they did find is that a 10-acre zoning per house was very common, and they discovered that that encouraged urban sprawl more than any kind of residential zoning. So I would recommend before people get started, they check out that book.
Mr. Kirker.
I'd like to move this on. This is a discussion that we'll have, because this is only advisory.
Correct.
Anyways. This is a discussion that we can have when the ordinance that whoever creates comes up.
I think we were invited to have a discussion.
I'm gonna agree with you on that. We're trying to get the sense of the town in general, and a lot of people haven't had the time to think about it, and some people are bringing up some pretty interesting things to think about. I think some people have opinions and some don't, so I'd be willing to go on a few more minutes on this topic. Anybody who hasn't had their hand up on this yet? Okay, you.
All right.
May speak.
Thank you. So I have 2 concerns with passing this. One is I have absolute no confidence that our town government will not create an ordinance, a bylaw, rules and regulations that won't get us sued from day one. The second one is a more global situation, is that if they want to pick an arbitrary number, they are infringing upon my right as a landowner, citizen, to do what I want with my property. You know, if they want to work on the, change the zoning boards, they can have a meeting, we can do all that. Because zoning regulations are a little less, I mean, they're arbitrary, but they're a little less so than, we can only have 7 permits this year. And in my opinion, the real way to stop growth and bring people to the town is to stop spending money on infrastructure above and beyond, keeping the roads plowed, keeping them passable, and I suppose picking up the garbage, but everything else can go. And then nobody's gonna wanna come here. And that solves the problem.
I will tell you that as a matter of law, anything you do in this is a land use issue. And it's not gonna be done by town government in the form of the planning board and the selectmen. It'll be town government in the form of the town meeting. All of you are senators.
Sure.
In this stuff.
I don't trust me either.
Well, I would, but just, I'm not trying to take a position on it, but just advisory, the town meeting is the body that will decide this. Who else? Harvey?
Yes, I'd like to mention that maybe we could look at the number of subdivisions that we're going to get into, because usually they're somebody from outside of town who purchased a large amount of land with the idea of selling house lots. And that's, I guess, it's legal and everything, but we might consider that situation.
Yeah, fellow behind Harvey, yes, sir.
Well, my personal opinion is the town is under attack, because we don't have, like, we've got cheap properties, so somebody can come in here and buy it. What's happening is people are moving further and further out, because land is like, what somebody told me, it's like 200,000 for an acre in Wyndham now. So of course, these builders are gonna move out, they're gonna come here, because the land is cheap. The other thing is we don't have an updated building code, so they can not only build houses on cheap land, but they can put cheap houses on as well. So this is a perfect place for them to hold out. So until we get everything in place for building codes and structure in place, I think we should look at it.
People are making good points. Anybody with something that hasn't been brought up? I'll get, okay, Jen, and then I've got, she's gonna hurt me.
Where's that gavel?
I'm gonna hold right on to it.
Right. We did pass that LD 2003 that allows an accessory dwelling unit to be placed on a property no matter what. But it did give municipalities the ability and the right to limit some of that and make it work for the town. We just passed another LD, I think it was 29, that takes away some of the municipalities' rights in limiting what we think are accessory dwelling units. So to John's point, there are other legal things in place. So if we did discuss this, you know, as a town and as an ordinance, it would involve an attorney.
Get back to you in a minute, Dan, lady with the flowery blouse.
With all the,
Please speak right up loud.
Joanna Jumpkins, with all the complicated questions, mine's very simple. Just clarify, we're talking about all new property, new buildings, like single-family homes as well as apartment buildings and such,
Yes.
right?
Yes, new
Homes as well.
dwelling units. Right.
Just clarify.
And it's a straw poll. It's just out here to see what everybody thinks. If
This is the finger in the wind. Dan?
I just want to point out that the Comprehensive Plan Committee did a lot of thinking about this and talking about it. So I suggest you take a look at our comprehensive plan and see what we came up with and see how that might fit in.
Be back with you in a minute. Yes.
How would this affect like the school system with kids?
How does it affect what?
The school system, like say if you have 100 new houses and stuff, the idea of having children in the school system.
it costs about 20,000 to support a child in school, and we certainly won't be making 20,000 in taxes from new homes. So it's, you know, it's not a matter of having people come in because it's going to support the tax structure, but
Yes.
Two things. You know, people talk about growth is positive, and it is positive. If you look back to around the turn of the century in Keystone Falls, they had 2 pharmacies, they had a soda fountain, they had a movie theater. What do we have there now?
Yeah.
But there's different types of growth that people, like the gentleman said, buy a big chunk of land, see there's money, it's, you know, a money generator, chop it up. And then what happens, look at Watson Woods, okay? So that was fought pretty hard, went through, because the law and the ordinances required it to. You got a bunch of cookie cutter houses out there, and most of them have changed hands a couple of times already. And if you, we're looking at building a community, not making money for developers, there's a difference. My last point, what John Westwood said, we've been talking about this for 25 years. Let's not talk about it for another 25. And then it'll be too late. It's already a little bit late now. I agree.
Wait in the corner.
I just think, we're talking about, you know, possibly putting a number on the amount earned, was kind of like what I'm getting on. You mentioned your town, Baldwin, say that's 15, yeah, the number I think we used exactly. I think we need a number, we gotta put a number down. Even if it was 15 a month, you're talking 180 homes a year. You're talking about one every other day.
Yep.
That would equate to a home going up every other day for that entire year. That's just the first year. You know, and then take the next year, the same thing happens, that's 360 more homes in a 2-year period. Where someone just said they noticed 7 homes went up in a year in the same street. I mean, these houses can go up fast even with 15 a month.
If you promise not to tell, I will divulge the secret formula that we used in Baldwin to come up with that 15 number. Somebody said, well, how many did they build last year? And they said 13. How about the year before that? 14. Well, then why don't we set it at 15? And everybody thought that was a wicked good idea. And that's the secret formula, but don't tell. Yes.
That's the answer, I think, was your question. My data are old, I admit that, but the research has shown that for every new home built, the towns collect $1 in tax revenue and spend $1.25.
Yes.
Just one clarification on the process. If this advisory vote passes, what would be the steps to actually coming up with a number?
It would go to the planning board.
Right.
Ordinances would be written, people's input would be given.
Something that we would vote on?
Oh, absolutely.
Because it is a land use issue, before the planning board could bring an ordinance to the town meeting, there have to be at least one public hearing. The planning board might, in their wisdom, decide to take input from the public hearing, go back and do some scribbling and changing, and they might even decide a second public hearing. So that's state law.
Because I built my house in Parsonsfield 3 years ago, and it's my first house that I've ever owned. And in that 3 years, I've fallen in love with this town. And I would hate to limit people like me who are moving away from populated spots from a rural place originally and falling in love with a rural place again to add to the community that we have. So I find this very similar to rent control. It's people trying to put duct tape on a leaky pipe. People are gonna move out here. I think there's better ways to do it. We can limit subdivisions, like one gentleman said. That makes sense because then you limit the size of development. But taking away an individual's right to build a dwelling seems to me to be unconstitutional and arguably just not a good idea for the town.
Mrs. Crooker, you got your hand in the air.
Yeah, because all of that, new construction and stuff, because naturally we'd always have to think about fire departments, ambulances, schools. So all of this is gonna go, if we all of a sudden have 10,000 people moving to that Parsonsfield, where are they gonna go to school?
Yeah.
Things like that, the ambulances, we're gonna, everything's gotta grow with us, not just people. Because they're not, you know, then when they're moving in now, their taxes are X amount. Wait until we say, oh, well, now we need a new school, we need a new fire department. We need new service with our internets and stuff. So that's something to be considered when we're giving out permits, just
Yeah.
willy-nilly.
Well, we're not getting to that point yet, but again, that's something that will have to be thought about. Somebody on this side of the room? Joe?
Yeah, I wanted to say that I feel we're losing all of our open space. I grew up in this town on a 300-acre farm. And that farm still exists. My brother and his wife live there. But there are too many houses within sight. I'll tell you a little bit of a joke. When I was a teenager, I read the whole book of Daniel Boone's Life and Times. An area in there that he told some of his neighbors, he said, if you can see the smoke from your neighbor's chimney, he's too close. You never mind, at least a mile down the road, and you won't see a smoke or a house either. Nowadays, the houses seem to want to be close enough to see each other. We're losing an awful lot of our open space.
I agree with you.
Land and farmland too.
Any further discussion before we take a vote on this advisory matter?
Do we actually have to vote on it? It was really just a straw poll, like,
We have to vote on an
Have to vote
article
on
to dispose of it.
Okay.
But the way the article is written, it's clear that this is an advisory vote.
Right.
And we don't thereby enact any law right now. You don't have, selectmen and the planning board don't have to do a darn thing with it, but they can. Okay, Article 44, see if town will support the creation and enactment of an ordinance that limits the number of new dwelling permits given out each year. This is an advisory vote only. All those in favor of Article 44 as written? Those opposed? The article is accepted. Okay, another advisory article. Article 45, to see if the town would support the creation of a new constable position. Again, this is an advisory vote only. Can we have a motion?
seconded.
Moved and seconded. Discussion, questions? Yes, sir.
What's his job description? What does a constable do? I mean, we call state police now, we get, I know in our part of town, excellent response. So I'm just wondering what added service are we gonna get?
They would function the way our sheriff did. That's basically what a constable does. And I've had a lot of residents approach me about, we don't have a sheriff anymore, we don't see the state police, although I agree with you, I think they've been very responsive. You know, what would the town feel about a constable position? They can, flag down illegal ATVs on the road, they could help with illegal parking at Long Pond in the summer. It would be a job description that, that we would write, but basically they do the same thing as a sheriff.
Is he a real cop, like a Maine Criminal Justice Academy graduate?
No, they have to go through training, but not this.
They're not
the
like
same.
polices and sheriff, state police guys and sheriff? Okay. Jeffrey?
I'm hearing things, or constable giving the tickets. When we, at Long Pond, when we had a deputy, I think only one ticket was at Long Pond. It was for parking because somebody was fishing or something like that. So I don't know if we really need a parking policeman, but.
Yes.
All right, so this goes back to our legal fees to some extent. We're gonna put a gentleman or a woman in position who doesn't have actual law enforcement training to address issues with people. There's a lot of residents who come from civilization who have certain attitudes about they're entitled to do whatever they want. And I see this constable person escalating situations, and now the town's getting sued because, he wouldn't let me park where I'm legally allowed to park, and he ruined my day because my kids couldn't go where they wanted to go. When the reality is we all moved to Parsons Field for a certain way of life. We talked about that in the last thing. We get way better criminal protection from the state police than we ever did from our 40-hour-a-week dedicated York County Sheriff. The best thing that could ever happen was that they had a labor shortage and they couldn't afford to keep coming here because we were just throwing money away. I would say that I've seen more arrests, certainly more presence in our current situation than I ever did before. And I think it's just money that we don't need to expend as a town. We're all individuals, we can all take care of ourselves. You know, and if it's a situation that you can't, you call the state police, because that's what they're there for.
Yes.
This gentleman may have just answered the question, but if we have a need for a constable, why can't we look back into getting the sheriff contract back? Would we have access to a more variety of staff, better resources for legal fees?
Well, probably just like finding a constable, I don't think we'd be finding a sheriff. It's very difficult to get those kinds of positions filled. That's why they took our sheriff, the
So it
county.
was their decision to take it, not
Oh,
ours.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't have a real answer for that. I'm just gathering info
Did this article come from the selectmen or by a petition?
from us.
Okay. from the
Yeah,
select-
not a petition.
Select board, I should say.
Thank you.
I won't get over that for, till
that gavel.
till my next life. Harvey?
Yes, I'm probably one of the people that can remember when we had a constable here in town. And we had several situations in the past where the CEO needed some company to go into an area where people were shooting and whatnot, and never heard the listening, and putting himself in danger at that point. It may not be, a total end all to that situation, but it would certainly be helpful to have someone there that would attend him. There are also other situations where there may be an accident, there may be, just any number of things. I think it would be a good idea to try and work that out. You should have some sort of police background in order to do so, and you would probably at some point have to consider whether they would carry a weapon or not. But otherwise, I think it would be a good idea.
Dan?
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same page. We can't enforce our ordinances on state police. We need somebody from the town, that the town can say, go do this. You can't tell the state police to go do it, they'll show up if they can. That being said, if you're gonna put somebody out there, especially somebody with a gun, who's representing the town, they better be trained and they better have a lot of insurance.
Yeah.
Don't you think that Jeff would make a good non-confrontational constable?
All in favor?
Further discussion on the constable, yes, sir.
I agree with the gentleman in the orange shirt up there that the state police do an excellent job. They seem to do better than the contract deputy did. But I also kind of on the fence here. I think we need, we got home rule. We need somebody to enforce home rule and understands the community better than the state trooper that is assigned here and can do the kind of things Mr. Flint mentioned, but like Mr. Orange over there, I'm concerned about, we don't want to hire a ball buster. It won't go well there.
Further discussion on this advisory article. I'll get you a minute, Jeff, yes.
Well, speaking of Mr. Orange Shirt, I have to agree with him. I'm not sure that we could possibly do an audit on whether or not our sheriff paid off for us. But intuitively, I was against it to begin with, and I'm not so sure it really paid off.
Jeffrey?
Well, I agree with that. When we first got the police officer, everybody thought everything was going to change. And for years, we couldn't even get police reports. And so I think we're going to end up going down the same slope. We get a constable and we don't maybe get any information on what's going on. I pause this. I would pause this constable thing. It's, I think the state police are doing a good job.
Good enough. Carolyn?
Just quick, if we're getting a constable, Michael and I have been here a while, there used to be Johnny Burbank and then Addie, they would come and stand here and make sure none of us were fighting during this.
We're good.
Town meeting and things like that. But I like the idea of having one of them back, but also a mayor. Just toss in a mayor while you're discussing things. After Mayor Taylor died, we haven't had one. What Michael and I have been talking about it, we don't have a store that's like that anymore, where the community comes together, you know, and finds out what's going on and all that. Maybe the post office, but they're trying to fix that so you can't. There's not many, every store you gotta go in quick and leave quick, you know, so there's no like store. So this would have to be a roving mayor who would go around and bring peace and get everybody, when there's some kind of a fight, they show up with the constable and try to get everybody to get together and, you know, a mediator kind of what we call the mayor. That'd be a guy or a woman, you know. I just want to throw that in because we kind of miss having that ideal mayor. But that was on the other side of town. We need one that rolls.
Further discussion on this advisory article? Hearing none.
You got one right here.
Yes.
This is just for communication back and forth with the board, but if I'm not mistaken, I used to be a resident, Nicole Griffith, by the way, of Sebago, and just after I moved out of Sebago, I believe they had a massive issue with their constable that resulted in him getting leave without pay for an extended period of time, which upset the town quite a bit. I would just say, whatever happened there, don't do that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, yes.
You mentioned that it's hard to fill the position of sheriff or constable. Why is that?
Well, for the same reason, we have a hard time filling a lot of positions here, volunteer or paid. There's just not a lot of people willing to step up.
Or
Excuse me?
not enough paid to that position, or?
Well, I wouldn't know, you know, we haven't gotten to that point or determined anything, but, you know, we've got ads in to hire a secretary for our appeals board, and we've had absolutely nobody.
All the police departments in the state of Maine are having trouble recruiting new, young police officers. And some of them are trying to cannibalize other towns by offering enlistment bonuses and a goose you pay by $10,000. And it's a competitive thing.
And
Because their hands are tied in what they can do?
Because it's too much hassle.
Yeah.
Some folks, you'd just like to be able to go home for supper at 5 and not worry about getting shot or beat up, so.
Yeah, the sheriff's department was down, I believe, 4 deputies, aside from the contract deputies, 4 out of 24, if I'm not mistaken, when they pulled Darren out of our town. Okay, so that he could be part of their general organization. I believe they have filled those positions, but they are not doing any further contract deputies.
I believe they also didn't have anyone in the academy coming up either.
Right, yeah. Young blood is hard to come by.
Yes.
COVID kind of screwed Parsons feel been without a sheriff?
2 years?
No, less than 2 years. It's been at least a year, maybe a year and a half.
Year and a half.
Year and a half.
Yeah, year and a half, couple of years.
Yeah.
Way in the back, and I'll get to you.
And just for anyone that wasn't here, it's very different. The state police presence, like others have said, is much better than, not to put down the sheriff, but there's just more of them, right? Better response, better presence. They're everywhere. I see them all the time on my road. I didn't before.
Yeah.
I think this anecdote would be instructive. Quite some time ago, there was a woman living out of her car. She was mentally disabled. I helped her once try to start her car. She got mad at me because I stopped her from putting the jumper cables on backwards. And then I got a call from a friend in South Parsonsfield who said this woman was sleeping in the woods and the weather forecast was going to be 20 below zero. We had already had 6 inches of snow on the ground. I called every town official that I could get a hold of, begging people to do something. Can we open the town hall just to keep her warm? Nothing. Finally, out of frustration, I called the state police. Within 20 minutes, a cop car came up my road with 8 inches of snow on it. I don't know how he did it. And was there and he did something. State police.
Jeff, quickly.
Motion that we end discussion or we take a break.
Move the question.
Are we ready to vote on Article 45 about the constable?
Yes.
I have that sense that we are ready. Article 45, see if the town would support the creation of a new constable position. This is an advisory vote only. All those in favor? Okay. Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. I got 12. What do you get, Danielle?
You got more than I got.
Yeah, I got 12.
Okay. All those opposed? Okay.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, at least 19.
I got 19 opposed. Okay, the Article 45 is 19 opposed and 12 in favor. The article fails. Now, the next article is not advisory at all. The moderator would entertain a motion to what?
Before we adjourn,
Yeah?
I just would like to say thank you to David Bauer. Welcome to Saban. He was here, but David has been many, many years in the town hall as a clerk and on the select board, and I just wanted to say thank you.
And my pleasure most of the time. And I'm not disappearing. I hope to stay involved in ways other than the select board. Thank you. And my best wishes to Saban and the select board.
Did you have something to say about?
Before we adjourn?
Yeah.
Can the select board talk about the process? A lot of people have suggested, hey, why don't we do this or how do we do that? What's the process for a citizen to actually enact change?
Citizens petition is the best way.
Citizen petition, how many registered voters do you need to have?
Right now, 86. It depends on the last gubernatorial
Yeah.
election, and that'll be coming up in 26. And it's a 10%, is it 10% of the?
Something like that, 10% of whoever showed up at the
Right.
last governor election.
Can you talk about your experience with the nonprofit?
And before we,
Was it your experience?
hold on a sec, before we do that, if you are interested in doing a petition, make sure that the petition signet, people who sign it, are registered voters. And if the number is 86, get 96 or 106, because somebody won't be that thinks they are. So, citizen petition. We're getting a little off track, but this is worthwhile. You want to say something?
Who made the chocolate cake?
Who made the chocolate cake?
Oh, Michael too. I guess we've been talking about the town and everything here today, and I just wanted to bring up, we're in a wicked drought right now. There's people out there, and I'm not picking on them, but they have fire pits and it's been going on. I was wondering if the town of Parsonsfield could set something up like Limerick, Cornish, they had Smokey the Bear. Fire hazard is high, fire hazard is low, posted.
Yeah.
People riding around, coming in town and stuff could see this. We're in a wicked drought. Fire gets going, the whole town will be gone.
That's a true fact. It'd be like 1947, but more so.
47 or even worse.
Yeah?
But I just said some talking, and that's all I have to say, just to bring it up and think about it.
EMA.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks, Mike. Real briefly, Jeff, before we,
Yeah, just to say, I did bring up that issue of making people aware of high fire danger. And the town of Parsonsfield has a water spigot out there. Is it the water spigot on during this drought?
It's on Monday through Thursday. Well, That's the plan at this point.
Monday through Thursday, the faucet is open out front for those who are driving.
Limited it because people were out there washing themselves, they were washing their vehicles, things that were inappropriate.
I totally understand the washing of dishes or washing themselves because they might not have water. The car issue is a whole other thing. But I ran out of water the other day and I couldn't come to the town hall to get water because the town hall was closed for 4 days.
Give you my number. I'll come up.
I shouldn't have to. And, you know, if we kept that old well on Route 25,
I know.
we wouldn't have to be begging for water.
I remember it.
I agree.
Okay, points well made. The moderator would now entertain a motion to adjourn this excellent town meeting.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. The motion to adjourn is not debatable. All those in favor? Those opposed? The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Very good town meeting, folks. Thank you.
Jeff, here, that's for you. Giving you my number. If you need water, you call me, I come up and I do it. When people stop using water for things they shouldn't.
I'm right now.
And that's the number of new buildings from 2010.
Does everybody have this number?
They should, it's right in the comp plan. Oh, my phone?
I don't want to be stuck.
You are special. You are special. I've told people, you know, call me, I'll come up.
I tell you, folks, my father years ago was constable for a while here. He was 5'9".
Yeah.
Big rugged fellow.